Three, two, one, action. Hey, everybody, it's Austin Anderson here, the sport guy Austin. I'm joined today by my friend, Tara Hamilton. Let her jump into, I guess, starting off, who you are, obviously, and how we met. And then if you want to just go into what the story of Tara Hamilton might be called if you were making your own movie or writing a book.
Yeah. So thanks for having me first and foremost, Austin. I think this is a really cool opportunity, and plus it's exciting to see people that you've kind of get started with from a career perspective and see where they're at now. And for me, I'm a podcast junkie, so I enjoy this. So to be a part of one is I think it's just awesome. So thank you. So I guess I can kick off by how we actually met. We met in a large computer manufacturer in Austin, Texas.
And I say Round Rock. Let's just be
Round Rock.
Let's put them where they're at. They're in Round Rock.
In Round Rock, yes. So, we started in everybody was in Q, right? Which was quite the experience. I think anybody in inside sales should absolutely have a queue that they have to start in, because it's kind of like a trial by fire. Not as bad as a boiler room, but pretty much on par with the metrics and everything else. Luckily, we were part of Patty's team, and who was probably one of the best managers I can say, going back all the way through now. She's one of the best managers I've worked for. So we met on that team, and I just remember you being one of the best closers on the phone. So to sit alongside you was actually a lot of fun. To be honest, when I look back at starting inside sales, there was probably one of the better times, because you get to know people on a different level, and you're young, so you get to screw up, but also like have people around you that they become part of like almost like a family of some sort, right? Where we actually get to work or hang out outside of work and then just enjoy each other's company in all facets of life. And so that's why I think it just coming full circle, it's actually pretty cool that, I think that was like 8 years ago. So quite some time.
Yeah. The small computer company in Round Rock, we had slightly different experiences, especially with Patty. For what it's worth, I thought a lot of the things I was saying were true, but I wasn't exactly the cog in the wheel that I probably should have been at times. I was raising some hell because stuff just didn't add up. You were in the queue, which is hilarious. I was just thinking about that because I was never in the queue.
You weren't?
No. I had worked in the queue. I had worked in queues to get to that spot. Like I had worked through there was like a starting queue, then there was a medium queue, then there was the top queue. Okay. I worked all through those, but they were all consumer queues. People were just calling to buy stuff. Upselling them, right? And so I had worked through all three of those. So by the time I got to that particular spot, I was like, dude, what are you talking about queue calls? I'm not taking any more queue calls. Especially whenever none of them were any good. They weren't calling because they wanted to buy something.
They were pissed.
They were just calling into a random queue that they saw on the internet, and you had to play operator. And I immediately was like, not gonna do it. And if they ask me to do it, I'm just gonna tell them I politely decline doing that anymore. I'm not doing it. Yeah. And that's part of the reason why I was probably, closing up a lot more, because I just was not taking those particular calls anymore. There was a famous incident that happened at an all hands meeting where you had to have been there, because I think we started at the same time in that department, where the big dog was given the rah meetings. It was end of quarter or beginning of a new quarter, and he was giving out some huge pep speech, and I had a front row seat to this thing. And all I'm thinking about is, man, I should be closing more deals. Why do they take me off the phone to come to these things? And I, at the most inopportune time, let out
I remember this.
An exasperated, just raspberry of all raspberries. and it was like a record scratch. And the big chief is like, "Am I boring you or something like that?" And right then I had a snap to like, "Oh crap, I did that out loud. I don't remember doing that, but I did it out loud. That wasn't supposed to happen."
Gosh.
And at Dell, they called those like career limiting moves or something silly like that. And I never made it out of that department, and it was a bummer because I enjoyed working for that small computer company. I've actually interviewed there recently, or not recently, but within the last couple years, and like it was like 6-figure account management or like 6-figure consulting type jobs. And I told the dude to his face, I was like, "If you give me this job, it is my absolute dream job. And I will come work as hard as I've ever worked for anybody ever for you." And I think I turned him off by saying that, but it was true. Like I was like, this is it, man. This is where I want to be. This is where I freaking have wanted to be. And it just had the stars haven't aligned. I'm in a position right now where I think I'm about to do some massive things for this company that I work for right now. So I'm not like too bad off, considering they're like cutting everything to essential workers only.
Right.
Kind of terrifying, but at the same time, like if you have a business, everybody should be coming to work because it's essential that Americans work, right? Like, like if we're gonna practice what we preach, we have to go to work. Can't cut people from working because that's
right.
how the world turns, is by everybody going to work. And so, I'm the sport guy, so I try not to get into too heavy of subjects, but with everything that's going on right now, it's hard not to go that direction.
Right.
One thing I asked that you didn't quite answer, your story, if you had to title it, what would the title of your story be?
I would say, let me come back to that.
Come back. Yeah, you can think about it and come back. It's a tough one. I spent 6 days isolated writing it down, so I have my title. I think everyone knows what mine would be. My life as a crazy person. It's out there, but not everyone thinks about that. I remember back in your day, you were a collegiate athlete. I think that should be part of the story. You were recruited and on scholarship at the big Wisconsin to
Badgers.
play softball. Yeah, to play softball. Talk about that point in your life and some of the experiences you had there.
Yeah, so a lot of people ask that just because it's I think Division I is just a small percentage, right? It's a small percentage of people that actually go and play at that level. And plus, especially somebody that's from Texas, they're like, "How the hell did you end up in Wisconsin from Texas?" And I always tell the story that for me it was my parents couldn't pay for me to go to college, so I had to figure out a way to get my college paid for. And my first visit was to Syracuse, and I went up to Syracuse, and beautiful campus, but you could tell every building was built for snow. So of course, why not go to Wisconsin, because that's much better. But I went to Wisconsin as my second visit. And talk about like just a sales tactic. Like every single college coach is selling you to come to their program, right?
Sure.
And it was, "Hey, we need to know because we're going to allocate your scholarship either to you or somebody else, and we need to know ASAP." And so it was like I came up on campus, it was 85 degrees, Camp Randall. And I mean, the Big Ten is just incredible when it comes to collegiate athletics, as well as the SEC and some of these others, right? They all have their own perspective on college sports. And so, when I went up, my mom actually came with me, and we went to, I got to the hotel room, and they had like my jersey already set out with my number. They had, things on the TV saying now up to bat for the Badgers, number 30, Tara Hamilton, blah, blah, blah. Like it was just, they were closing the whole time, right?
Right.
And it was, for me coming from Texas, like my family, 4 generations went to Oklahoma State. So growing up, we would go to OSU games. And the biggest difference between OSU and any other major program is that if you go to OSU, you are truly an OSU fan, right? Like OU, you don't have to go to school there, but you can still be a fan because you're going to win. It's easy to be a fan there, right? OSU, they break your heart every year, right? So growing up in that kind of background, knowing that, it's they break your heart every year. And, the sports are big, but not as big as when I went up to Wisconsin. It was really cool. And my third one was going to be Texas. And the thing with Texas is the head coach called, and I was all excited. I was so excited because I could stay in Texas, go to UT, but they were only going to offer me books. So knowing that I need to get my college paid for, because I didn't want to come out with debt, I was like, you know what, let's just go ahead and cancel the rest of the visits, because after that was University of Louisiana, which was the Raging Cajuns. And so I just canceled all the visits after that.
So you didn't even go visit the Cajuns?
No. So went up to Wisconsin, and my first year. The thing is, I wish that, and I want to encourage anybody that's wanting to go up to the north from the south to go play an outdoor sport, go on your visit in February. And if you still want to be there in February, you are meant to be, right?
What's different in February that doesn't happen in
freezing?
Oh, it's cold. It's cold up there. Oh,
so okay. And it was just after, it was like right after Halloween. We were pretty much indoors after that, because you can't practice outside after, like, if it's below 40 degrees or 35 degrees or something like that. It's effing cold. So we're indoors the whole time, which was, fine, right? But then when you go and you play your first couple tournaments down in California or Arizona, you get your ass whipped because the balls don't hop the way that they normally do outside as they do inside, right? You get true hops on the indoor facility, and then when you go outdoors for the first time, it's completely different. So it was challenging, needless to say. Plus, I was really far away, and I was in a long distance relationship, which hindsight's 2020. I should never have been in that relationship, regardless. But so after I did that, I ended up transferring. My coach ended up unfortunately getting let go, and a couple of us transferred. One went to Cal Berkeley, another one went to Cal State Fullerton, and then I went to UL.
Everyone went to a warmer place. Imagine that.
Warmer place. And, the cool thing was the Raging Cajuns were I loved having the two different experiences, because, from a college football perspective and hockey and basketball, like, Wisconsin was awesome. Great school, just cool atmosphere. And then going to UL, the softball program was like, we're always top 10 in the country. So it was awesome, right? At the same time, even though our football team was definitely not nearly on the same playing field.
But the thing you were doing, they excelled at.
Correct. And so that was a lot of fun, right? Like, the fans were incredible. I mean, to this date, I think we're number one, number two in NCAA Division I history for actual attendance. So the attendance is off the charts. Like, people love it. They just enjoy coming to watch softball, and our baseball program was always really good. So it was a lot of fun. I mean, just the whole realm of, even at Wisconsin and UL, that I enjoyed was the people that what I call is you go to battle, right? You're going to war with each of these individual, badass women, and between the lines, and you create this bond that is unlike anything else, right? Like, it's it's not easy. And I think that's why I reverted to Sells afterwards, is because it was a grind day in, day out, right? And when I went to Sells, that's exactly what it is. It's a grind, right? What have you done for me lately, right? And that's it. Like, you could have gone 4 for 4 the last game, but that doesn't matter, because what have you done for me today, right? And it's the same thing for Sells, and I think that's what, that's my outlet. Today, I mean, I'll play random sports. Like, I play volleyball and indoor soccer, but just because it's fun, right? It's not, I mean, I wasn't, I was, in high school, I played 4 sports, played soccer, basketball, tennis, and softball.
Jeez.
And so for me, after college, it was a job, right? And I get it. Like looking back, I'm like, when you're 18 to 22, like you don't have that same sense of urgency as you do now, right? And I think that's why if you look at people in the pros, their like prime time like age is around like 25 to 29, right? Like in that area, because you're learning to be an adult and you're thinking like
Right.
an adult. And it's when you're that young and you're having to, as a head coach, looking back, you're like, holy crap, like you have to get all of these people and individuals and all different personalities to buy into your structure and your system, right? And you got to get them locked in and day out for hours at a time, right? Because your job is on the line if you're not successful. And I think that's one of the things, looking back, I'm like, dang, like I give them the utmost respect because number one, it's a lot of flipping work, right? To be a head coach of any sport. And it is a very, it's a very cutthroat business, because it really is down to what have you done for me lately, right? That's fine if you went, 60%, winning on your season, but that's not good enough, right? Like the whole thing is to get somebody to win a national championship every single year.
Right.
I mean, point, you look at the head coach of Alabama, right? You have,
Oh yeah.
What they had was Bear Bryant to start, right? And then they went and nosedived, and LSU kicked their ass every year. And
who was at LSU when they were kicking that ass? Who
Yeah.
was the guy at LSU? He was the guy at LSU.
He was
for a
the
brief
guy.
period of time.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
With Nick Saban, he's kicking their butt, and then he goes to Miami, then he goes to Alabama and turns the program around.
The
Then
famous Nick Saban story is you're probably a Saints fan. I would take it.
Oh yeah, I'm a huge Saints.
He was at Miami saying, we need to get Drew Brees. We got to get Drew Brees. We must have Drew Brees. And they had a doctor there that was like, nah, he's coming off the shoulder surgery, and I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. They had a doctor that overruled him. They were like, nope, override, can't have Drew Brees, and the rest is history. He eventually kind of tucked his tail between his legs and went back to college. Kind of unceremoniously left in the middle of a season, kind of thing, because he was like, well, if I can't have the guy that I want, then I'm out. Now he gets to have whoever he wants, whenever he wants.
Totally.
And the results are kind of astonishing. But yeah, I mean, I think now we're dealing with two teams, right? Clemson and Alabama. They're kind of now, maybe LSU is going to be in the mix now that they have kind of a system, if you will. I'm not really sure if they're just going to be a flash in the pan with the Burrow guy, or what do you think?
That's a good question. Plus, their offensive coordinator left too.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's the hard part, right? Is like you get, and that's the hardest part about winning consistently is you finally get all the pieces together, right? And they fit perfectly, and that's how you win a national championship, because it's so hard, right? So it's a game of inches, right? I mean, literally, in my college coaches say this all the time. He's like, you can change the outcome of any game by three pitches, right? And it's the same thing you can do for football. It's like you can change the outcome by 3 plays, and it's down to that like minuscule of error, right? And to get people all in, bought in, every single one of them, knowing their roles, whether their role is a starter, whether the role is a practice player, whether their role is a manager, whether their role is a water guy. Like there are so many factors into this, and if one person is not part of that like structure and that team and part of the rope, like it won't work. And that's what is, to me, I think is fascinating about sports. And I think, everybody now, right, we're in a time, this weird untreaded water of a time in our world right now where there's
Mhm.
no sports. There's no March
Right.
Madness. There's
They
no,
canceled it.
they canceled everything,
Everything's
right?
done, dude. I have a solution for this, by the way. I have a
Oh,
solution. Yeah, I've got a solution for this. They never should have canceled anything. They should have just went to practicing. We're just going to practice. All we're going to do is practice. As Allen Iverson said, we are talking about practice. We're not
practice.
even going to keep score. We're not even going to keep score. We're not even going to keep
Right,
score. No fans allowed at practice, obviously. You can't have fans at practice. They never had fans at practice. Why would we
right.
have fans at practice? But then you have the teams that are supposed to play each other. They go in scrimmage. And like I said, no one's keeping score, but it's on the internet, so someone's keeping score, and they
Yep.
determine who wins and who loses. But we're not going to have it as a game because that's too risky. But if we just have practice, and if you're sick, stay home because that's what people are doing right now who are working class shifts. Everybody in the NBA is on a guaranteed contract, right? They're already getting paid. They're already getting paid, so you better go to work. And what do you do to go to work? You practice. You practice. That's my solution. You're welcome, NBA. There you go.
You practice. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're getting
Televised,
paid.
televised practices, scrimmages. Easy.
Yeah.
Problem solved. I guess the travel aspect potentially, but I think, with their levels of income, they'll be okay.
Yeah, I think so. This is the
Probably.
least of my worries.
Having like 50,000 fans in the stands or 60,000 fans in the stands, too risky. 10 guys playing basketball, 20 guys playing basketball with a couple coaches and maybe one camera. I think it'll be okay. I don't
But
know.
you think about it, right? So you have basketball that got canceled right now.
Oh
Can you
yeah.
imagine the magnitude of backlash for football being canceled?
There is no backlash because we can't, it's too risky. And also they don't get like let's say for example, they did say that people were going to practice and what my theory right there, right? We'll just have practice as scrimmages and some of the NBA players balk at it like, no, I'm not doing it. It's too risky. Fine, we'll find somebody who will. Open tryout, boom. Who wants to come work for us? There's no fans. You're not playing for fans. We'll give you a contract, whatever contract that is. You're a nobody from Nobodyville. You're not going to get the same contract as Steph Curry, but you'll get something. And
Right.
if people are watching, like I saw already that they gave away free League Pass. Anybody who wants League Pass can go on right now and log into League Pass. As soon as they put the games on League Pass, $10 for the scrimmages. You want to watch the scrimmages? So sign up now before they freaking put on the freaking fee because they're going to put a fee on it. They're going to tax that as soon as they possibly can.
That's great.
Yeah, but it's free right now. Anybody can get League Pass, so go sign up and watch. They're mainly playing classic games and different things like that. But I got
Yes.
solutions for all kinds of stuff, bro.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Football, though, it will be weird to watch a full stadium of football with no fans. But again, it's too risky. It's too risky. Just do practices. Just do scrimmages. We're gonna have preseason. We're not even all right now. We're gonna have we can't have the season, but here's what it would look like if we did have a season. We're just gonna have these teams scrimmage, and then at the end we'll decide who wins the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It'll be the Patriots. Spoiler alert.
Well, so who are the Patriots going to use as a quarterback now
Dude,
that?
my favorite scenario would be Freaky Friday. Tom Brady goes to Tampa. Jameis goes to New England. That would be my favorite scenario, where it's like, all right, watch this, Tom. You want to leave? I'll bring in the guy who you're replacing, replace you, and we'll be just fine. That would be my all-time favorite scenario. But Bill Belichick is going to bring in whoever Bill Belichick wants.
I mean, talk about somebody who is like, I watched the interview with him and Nick Saban.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, the two, it comes back, it's full circle, and they work together in their career, right, at one time.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing is they both build their own structures, right? And their own, like, it's just this system, and it works.
Sure.
Works really
It
well,
does.
but they have to find people that will fit that system. And what I think is so fascinating about Bill Belichick is that he takes a lot of these individuals that aren't really Like, hell, Tom Brady, right? Like,
Sure.
what the hell? The guy
He's the
was
ultimate.
recruited.
He is the ultimate.
It's incredible. And that's what
He
I think
is.
is fascinating, like, about this guy. I mean, he's just
So here's my thing with the Patriots, and I haven't yet unleashed this, but I will here today. The Patriots exist because Bill Belichick refuses to overpay anybody. Nobody gets overpaid by the Patriots. He has a little fucking spreadsheet somewhere, and he's like, this is how much we can spend on each position, including quarterbacks. And if we go over that, we have a weakness in a specific area. Sometimes he will spend on generational talent. For example, Darrelle Revis. He paid Darrelle Revis a lot of money to be a cornerback when the league started passing. He was like, nah, we gotta have that guy because he's gonna freaking shut down whoever it is that we can shut down, and that's worth it. We'll be a little bit more deficient on offense, or maybe in the middle of the linebackers or something like that. But
right.
even Tom Brady, I think his highest contract was $15 million as a Patriot. His highest contract was $15 million a year. You got guys like rolling out of bed, playing quarterback in the league, making $30 million, $40 million, like way more than Tom Brady.
Mm.
How do these egomaniac owners, they say it's a copycat league, how do they not look and see, like, can we make a dynasty with a $30 million quarterback? No, we can't. Can we make a dynasty with a $15 million quarterback? The Patriots somehow did it. How come we don't see them copying that? They're all over, like, I love me some Dak Prescott. I really do. Love him. But he should not get paid double what Tom Brady gets.
No.
Unless he has 12 rings somewhere that I'm not seeing. Like, why would they allow this? But that's just the Patriots figuring out how to be the Patriots, while everyone else is just sheep running off into a cliff and running right over. And it's like, all right, we're going to pay let's see, we'll pay Andy Dalton $30 million. Let's see how that works out. Bengals.
You know what? It's crazy too, because you have to remove the egos, and when you remove those big paychecks, the egos get checked at the door, because almost every single person's on an even playing field, which is incredible. Right. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's like the proof is in the pudding. Like, I went back 20 Super Bowls, Tara. I had the time on my hands, and I went back 20 Super Bowls to look and see which of these quarterbacks got paid and then made it to the Super Bowl. I found two instances. I could wager that you'll guess which two they are if you take enough time. Just take a second to think of two people who won the Super Bowl while getting paid within the last 20 years while getting paid top dollar.
Peyton Manning.
Check. Got one. And he also played on the Broncos on a discounted contract, right, and also got a Super Bowl that way. So he did it both ways. So you got Peyton Manning. Good job.
I'm going to say Joe Montana.
Joe Montana is way too long ago. That was like.
Oh, sorry. Is that more than 20 years? God,
yeah,
sorry.
20 years. No worries. It's all good. Joe Montana.
Like
Joe
40.
Montana. Yeah. The 49ers, he was a good one, though. I mean, he did win. He was Tom Brady before Tom Brady. But the other one is your guy, Drew Brees.
Drew Brees
with
got paid a ton of money.
And he won a Super Bowl. So only the two top passing guys of all time were able to successfully steer a ship into a Super Bowl. Now I'm going to rattle off some names now that have won Super Bowls on discounted contracts. Let's start with the most recent Super Bowl. They had a $40 million guy on one side named Jimmy Garoppolo, and then they had Patrick Mahomes playing for peanuts. Patrick Mahomes took it down amazingly.
Yep.
And then, you have your Joe Flacco's, you have your Russell Wilson, like standard fare. Even Colin Kaepernick made it to the Super Bowl on a discounted contract. It's done over and over. It's easier to build a team around a guy on a discount than it is to build a team whenever the guy's getting
100%.
paid $40 million.
Could not agree more.
Or $30 million. My bad. If it was $40 million, don't come at me, stat heads.
Yeah.
But
could not agree more.
I love the NFL. I wish someone would let me pull the strings, but I'm not a football mind. I'm just.
Well, what do you think of this XFL? What do you think of this?
I didn't watch
Vince McMahon?
I didn't watch any of it, but I mean, I think more football all the time is not a bad idea. They're probably going to make a ton of money now because they got shut down, and they get like, I'm sure they have like a sick insurance policy for the XFL. Like if anything happens and we can't play games and we get paid, we still get paid, you know? And so that I find to be kind of interesting, because I don't know. It seemed like, just from my outside view, because I was like, I'm not watching this. Sorry, I'm not tuning in to watch second-rate football. But it seemed like it was pretty good, and people were tuning in. Did you check any out?
You know, I watched it for like a couple minutes. It just went for me. But
bunch of guys I never heard of playing a game I like.
yeah, there you go. You got to be a diehard. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just it is interesting, and I think baseball is the one that's coming up. That's like, okay, are we really gonna cancel baseball? Because that's not even a contact sport. At least in basketball, and in basketball and football, you're gonna have to get right up in close proximity to somebody in their space. Baseball,
the closest proximity is the catcher to the batter.
Right, or if you're on first base and the first baseman's right there, right? Like you have those interactions, but you have pretty much built-in social distancing within baseball, to where it should not be canceled. At the very least, they should figure out a way to, like, all right, if you don't want to play because you think it's too risky, like, again, open tryout. All these collegiate players who aren't doing anything can just immediately step in, Or the minor leagues. They have the minor leagues, obviously.
Yeah, and it's big business. I mean, there's a lot of money that people are losing right now, right? In all facets of jobs, right? All facets.
I mean, I had to go to the grocery store. I had not been to the grocery store, and I couldn't even remember the last time I was at the grocery store. I go up to the grocery store, I pull up, I start to walk in, and they're like, "Oh, you got to get in that line over there." I'm like, what?
They're only allowing so many people in.
To wait in line to go to the grocery store? This is where we're at. I was like, well, that's not so bad, I guess. But I was like, actually, sir, I'm just going to the pharmacy. I'm just going to see the pharmacist. And they're like, they let me in. But I couldn't get any groceries. Normally, when I go to the grocery store, I go to the pharmacist because I got to get my medicine. And then I go snoop around and find like 5 or 6 items. However many items they'll allow me to put in the pharmacy bucket, Be like, oh, I have these items. Can I check out here? Not like a full bucket. I think I just saw your dog. You have a white dog?
Yes. Come here, Berkeley. Berkeley, come here.
Berkeley.
Oh, come here.
Making an appearance. Our first pet appearance.
Oh, come here. Come on.
What kind of dog is it?
It's a white golden. So.
Oh, wow.
She's the English cream retriever. Berkeley.
Nice.
Berkeley, come here. Oh, there she is.
Oh, wow,
there she is.
Oh my God.
Look.
Oh, now she's like, I want my close-up. Give me my close-up.
Oh.
That's awesome. But no, you're right. Everywhere is getting affected. But I also think things are going to be better, because, like, you remember that terrible traffic they used to have in Austin? Just god-awful traffic going anywhere? It's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. That traffic is completely just like that overnight. Kapow! No more traffic, because everybody who can work from home is working from home, and nobody's going into the office unless they absolutely have to go into the office. And shocker, business is still going. The people are still working from home. It's not like everything just shut down. So it's amazing in that regard. When it goes back to the other way, it's going to suck again, because everyone's going to be fighting traffic again, because companies don't trust their employees enough to, just let them work from home. But they should, because in the worst of the worst, people are getting shit done at the home office, But how about
you got a close up of Berkeley?
Yeah. Shifting topical gears. Movies. Is there any particular movies that
So I saw, this might be a little controversial, but I saw Dark Waters.
Oh, what's that one?
And that one was, it's based on a true story. It's about a lawyer that actually took a case for his grandmother's friend from a guy that lived in West Virginia, and it was against DuPont.
Oh.
Yeah, it was fascinating. And DuPont ended up paying out, I think it was $610 million to hundreds of people that came forward with issues that
Class
happened.
action type thing, right?
And it was the same director that also directed Spotlight, about the
Okay.
Catholic priests and stuff like that, and it was
Sure, sure,
also with
sure.
some of the same actors. But it was really good. It was very well done. I went in and kind of did some fact checking, and I mean it to me, like, it shines a light, right? And I think that's, I
Right.
mean, case in point, they call the other one Spotlight, right? It shines a light
Right.
on things that have happened, and you hope that, you know, bigger companies that have, just endless amount of money to
Mm,
basically make people go away, right?
right.
Because they're making so much money on whatever product or solution they have, right? Good, bad, and different, they're paying people off. And one of the things that, was one of the kind of the, I guess, not really killers, but something that created a lot of issues was Teflon. And that was one of the products they made all this money on. And Teflon we use today with with a lot of your pans that you cook with, because nothing sticks to it, right? So I ended up throwing away
Wow.
all my pans that are Teflon on them, because I'm
Interesting.
like, how is this? You can still buy these, right? There's nothing
Right.
on there that says, hey, by the way, you could, this has this type of impact on you,
Right.
potentially, right?
Sure.
But I mean, I started thinking back, and you can smell the chemicals of some sort, right? Like, you can. So I ended up getting some green pans, but I'm like, it's just, that to me, that was one of the later ones. And then I watched Bombshell, which was, well, because I have so much time now, right?
Right.
At
Of course.
home. But Bombshell, which was about Megyn Kelly and the whole Fox News thing, with Roger Ailes and Trump and all that kind of stuff. So it was good. It's, that whole story has, they've had a lot of different, whether it's series or documentaries or anything like that around that subject matter. But Charlize Theron, she was the one that played Megyn Kelly, and they had some really, Nicole Kidman was in it, so they had some really good actors and actresses in it. So that was good. And then on series, so are you a Netflix or Hulu or?
Yeah, I have all of the streaming pretty much. So
Yep.
I
So
don't pay for any of them. Dominique does, thank goodness.
there you go.
I just leech off of her accounts. But yeah, we have all of the streaming for sure.
Yeah, and like, do you watch Ozark? I think that one's coming back
I
out.
watched that one. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Pretty good.
I think
One of
anything
my
I've watched. Yeah, go ahead.
favorites is Billions. Do you ever watch Billions?
Billions is one that I have not actually gotten on.
That would be right up your alley.
Where's that one located?
So that one is on, I think that one's on HBO or Showtime. That's the only
I
thing.
think it's Showtime. I think that's why. I watched. There's an HBO equivalent. I think they tried to make their own version. They called it
did they?
Succession. Succession.
Oh,
I
haven't
think
seen
it's.
that.
Well, I mean, I don't know enough about Billions to know what. I know it has that British actor who always plays like a really distinguished Homeland guy.
Yeah.
I know it has that. I've seen like maybe one episode or something, but Succession is about a TV conglomerate family, and they have a patriarch at the top of the family that's kind of like on his way out, and they're trying to figure out which one of the kids is going to take over for him, and it's pretty intriguing. But I've heard you're not the first person to mention Billions to me, but I have not taken
that. I feel like that would be something you like. That's right up your alley.
Nice.
Yeah, that's really good.
Netflix, I've been watching stuff on Netflix, but I just don't really have anything that I'd be like, you got to watch this. They have this one thing I just finished, Tiger King, which is kind of interesting. It's about this guy in Oklahoma. They call him Joe Exotic, and he basically has like a kind of like a wildlife zoo with a bunch of tigers on it, and just kind of goes through just goes through his timeline, and he has a feud with this other woman in Florida who also has a wildlife preserve, and I won't spoil the ending, but it's pretty
Did
interesting.
the Tigers okay?
Well, I mean, I don't really know what to say about. I'm not sure how to feel about the Tigers, honestly, because they're captive. They are captive, and he breeds the tigers to make more tigers. So you have little tiger cubs and little different experiences where you buy a ticket and then you're holding a tiger cub and you're playing with a tiger cub. I'm not sure how to feel because there's only like 500 tigers in the whole world. So he's on one hand he's making more tigers, so that's kind of interesting. But on the other hand, is like they're all just captive in this little ranch. So I'm not really
Oh,
sure. I'm not really sure how to feel about the tigers because the tigers, they play a pretty prominent role in the whole show. And there's others around the country that have tiger ranches or tiger zoos. So
yeah. Huh.
there's like a lot more tigers in captivity than there are in the wild. Basically, is how it net.
That's really sad.
You think so?
I think so. I mean, well, I don't know. I mean, I think I used to love zoos. This is like a
Mm.
controversial subject too for many people, but I used to love zoos, but I also like, and I get that, a lot of the times they rescue them, and I'm all for that, right? As long as they get them back,
Sure.
ready to go, and if they're able to be, introduced back to the wild, like I think that's awesome, right? Like they're able to get them back on their feet and get them to where they can go and live their life the way it was supposed to be, right? Part of this whole circle of life, right? Um, but I don't know. I think, it's kind of sad for a lot of animals that get captive. They're in these small little zoos, and, they just, like, for instance, I was in San Diego, went to the zoo, and it was
Right.
like turning, it was, about to be like the sun was setting. And that's when a lot of these like tigers and
Sure.
animals start become more active. So there
Right.
was these little kids, and they were on these little scooters. And one of, I can't remember what it was, like a
Looks like a cat.
bobcat, something like that, some big cat, right? It wasn't a tiger, but it was something along those lines. It started tracking the kid,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Because he's like, holy shit, like I'm,
Food.
if I can get, yeah, exactly. I got food that I can go capture. But it was sad because, one, they're like the place that their habitat wasn't very big. Um,
Mm.
but also like you have all these people just like poking and like, making this thing go bonkers, right?
Right.
I don't know. And then I watched the show, was it it's about the killer whales. I think it's called like
Oh
Blackwater.
yeah, I've seen that one as well. I don't remember what the name of it was, but yeah, they pretty
Well,
much shut SeaWorld down
shut it
pretty
down.
much. Pretty
Shut it
much.
down. They kept killing all these because I mean they kept killing all these people.
Well, yeah, I
But
mean, and it was just like, hey, we never should have been doing that to begin with. This guy needs like a whole ocean. Like, obviously, you can't provide for an orca with like
right.
a pool. It's not going to work. It can't work. Um, but yeah, I throughout the show they talked about those cats. If they're out in the wild, they get like 500 miles of territory. That's how much
Yeah,
territory that
exactly.
one cat would prowl and
Elephants are
control.
the same thing.
It's like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you do exactly. You can't. I mean, first off, they're not native to this land, right? If you
No.
like, you just have to get them back over to where they came from.
Mhm.
Where they came from is getting demolished slowly but surely. So I don't know. They talked about a little bit about how they would do some good work towards conserving the rainforest through the money that they. But who knows if they're just saying that as a line or what
Right.
they have a little line on the item on the books that says, "Oh, send this check to the Save the Rainforest," and then they never do because they're Hicks in Oklahoma.
Mhm.
What about
Yep.
food? Are you a person who actually cooks? I don't know how to cook, so I'm all ears on if you know how to cook and have any recipes that you could share.
You see Berkeley in the background.
Oh yeah, he's cool, or she, I guess I should say,
Oh,
posting up, looking out the
she's
window.
posting up. Yeah, there's a happy hour, social distancing happy hour that's happening right now. So as soon as I
Oh
finish
yeah.
up here, we're gonna go out. So that's why she's
Oh nice.
freaking out. Here's all of her little friends.
Oh,
Um,
awesome.
so you were talking about, what'd you ask me about?
Oh yeah, like cooking. Do you
Oh,
cook? Like I
cooking.
don't
I
cook.
do cook. So
Oh
here's the
nice.
thing. So my job today, and the customers that I service, there's a lot of dinners, right?
Oh,
So
okay,
Monday
that's
through
cool.
Friday was, right? Right now we can't, but there
Hmm.
was like where I would go and we take clients to dinner or lunch or both or whatever it may be, right? It's part of the gig. And I do travel quite a bit. And I did, right? Now we're on a mandatory shutdown on that. But so when I come home, I love to cook because it's just like, I don't know, it's something that I don't want to go out to eat, right? I'd rather just eat at home, which now I'm mandated to eat at home. So good, bad, and different. I probably want to go out to eat after this,
Right.
um, but I do. So I actually, I do more on like the Whole30. So I follow more of that type of cooking and that type of food. And some
I've
people are
never
real
heard
big
of the
into keto.
Whole30. What's that?
Whole30 is a more, have you ever heard of paleo?
I've definitely heard of that.
So it's more like a paleo almost. There's a couple different nuances out of that, but I find like that one, because everybody's body's totally different, right? Some people can have more higher fats like keto, and some people can, have more proteins or less fats, and it's all dependent on, you, right?
Hmm.
You personally, and whatever makes you feel better. And to me, the keto did not make me feel as like that good, just because there was higher fats and my body did not react very well to that personally. And I never got into the macros just because it's too much work for me, to be honest.
Hmm.
Some people love that, right? So I just find like whatever works best for you, but that's for me, Whole30 is really, it's just easier for me to follow. And I just feel a little bit better after eating that type of, I guess, style or type of, I don't call anything a diet, because anything a diet is a fad, right? But more it's a
Right.
lifestyle.
Dude, that's interesting that you say that. I've yo-yoed my way around quite a bit. I eat out all the time though, so I
Do
don't
you
have any.
remember one of the ladies that we worked with, and I'm not going to say the name, but this individual every week it was a new diet.
I
I know
have
you know.
an idea that I think I know who you're talking about potentially. I do think I know who you're talking about.
What are you doing?
Just trying to change, but not really
Oh my
change.
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh
Um,
man.
I think that's close to the end of our
Oh, I
time
know.
here. Getting close to the top of the hour. I don't really know, is there anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to touch base on before we part ways?
No, for me, I think this was just like a conversation, right? About,
Definitely.
from collegiate sports to, we have our work life, right? And I think
Yeah.
that a lot of people, I'm involved in I'm a mentor and a mentee to others. And one of the things, I'm also part of a chapter of an ERG group here in town as well. And one of the biggest things we talk about is just how do we empower each other, right? And how do we give each other this work-life balance? Well, the thing is, there is no work-life balance, right? It's just, and so I think for this whole conversation, I think it's good just to know that you can have a career, right? But you can also have other things that are like hobbies or things that you enjoy talking about that don't have to revolve all the time around what you do Monday through Friday, right?
You said
So
ERG, and I'm not familiar with that.
it's an employee resource group.
Oh, okay.
So it's the one I'm in is Women in Action.
Sure.
So,
As
but
if there's any other kind,
but what's fascinating is that we have a lot of men that are also part of it, which I think is very, like, it's something for people to realize that it's not just women, right? And the only way to
Hmm.
create like something of a change or like to know of relevance is that you have to have men a part of that conversation in order to create that change. And to me, I think I never viewed it anything other than we're all just trying to work together and create, a better work-life experience for all of us, right? Whether you're a male,
Definitely.
you're female, whatever it may be. But yeah. So anyways, so we're involved in the community here, and I think that's really why I'm part of it, is for the community outreach and helping others.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a great need for helping others as we move
Well,
forward.
that's my concern, right? Like we went and served at the rescue mission was for homeless, and we did a breakfast one day, and we served 487 people. For lunch, they have just over 400, and for dinner, they serve about 800 people each day. So to know that we're in a time where you don't have those volunteers accessible or at all to be able to go to serve these individuals who, you don't know anybody's story. And I think regardless of what side you're on politically or anything else, like my biggest thing that I tell people is you don't know anybody's story. All you can do is just help each other, build each other up. And, these times right now is where it really matters, right? Because they're not able to get served, right? Like it's this pandemic is really impacting how we're able to help others right now. And
Yeah, I have
it's
solutions for all these things.
do
Believe it
you?
or not, I've actually thought about this.
How then? What is it? What's the
Imagine if you're a small shop in Round Rock, just being your small shop in Round Rock, and here in Austin, there's all these people who right now maybe are displaced, or they're just not entirely sure where their next paycheck might come from. You might just say, hey, if you want to go get something to eat because you don't have any money, go down to one of these places and create a network, and you can get a meal, and you just charge it to the tab of the small computer company. And at the end of the day, it's just a drop in a bucket for that small computer company in Round Rock. Or if you're like a giant company like Apple, ooh, crap, I said their name. Dang it. If you're a small company who makes accessories and has done very well for themselves recently,
Mhm.
maybe you say, we came out with Apple Pay, but we were thinking we were going to have a credit card, but instead we'll just pick up the tab on any food item that you need to buy for your house because we're worth $1 trillion and we have unlimited money forever. So we can provide, and it's not something to be abused. It's something, that would be a resource for those who can't provide for themselves. And
Mhm.
so don't go fill up 20 shopping carts of toilet paper but if you need food to eat because you're not sure where your next paycheck comes from, well, we can probably support you and help you out there, because right now the government obviously can't do it since they're in such a disarray. But a company could easily just set up a tab, and then at the end of the day, Walmart just says, okay, well, here's the bill, Apple or Dell or whatever company,
Right.
Amazon, all these giant companies that they manage to exist because of the infrastructure provided to them by the everyday Joe, and all the roads and different things that they use to transport their goods. Well, now they're paying it back. That's how I would look at it. But that's not ever going to happen. But it's an idealistic thought to have, because
Right.
it should happen. It should, or even even the government could just be like, fuck it, dude, we'll pick up everybody's food tab, and then your food tab's paid for. If you need it, though, it's not one of those things where if you're still going to work and nothing has changed for you, you don't use it. But the poor sap who got laid off, who's down on their luck and at the end of their rope, yes,
Mhm.
they could go get a hot meal at a restaurant, and no
Yeah.
one would even know because we're not allowed to go to restaurants together anymore.
Yeah.
So
The new norm.
no one would even know this stuff exists unless you need it.
Yeah. Do you think that after all this is said and done, right, we're all kind of
Sure.
mandated to be inside and social distance, do you feel like our society will come back where we want to be more community based, more
Dude,
communication towards
I think
others? Like,
social distancing actually is a thing that should have happened a long time ago. Like
right.
we were getting too close. That's how this kind of stuff happens, is you get too close and you're not keeping a safe distance away from people. Like someone sneezes on you, they're too close.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? Like I was at work and like this dude was just hacking it up, and I'm like, bro, you're fucking hacking it up. You know that people are sick right now. Why the hell are you at work? But I was just like,
right.
I was like, hey man, are you okay? Maybe you should go somewhere with cough that's not directly like on me. Like I don't want that to happen. I hope that everything rebounds and it's a great rah moment for the country. I
Right.
fear it's the end of days, and I'm a doom and gloom type, so I'm already at the Great Depression. Like imagine tomorrow they're just like, all right guys, no jobs for anybody. Everything's done. It's completely shut down. There's no jobs. Nobody go to work. It's over. Like, well, now what? Like, and it's very scary to me when a government is suggesting that we can't get together in more than 10 people. That sends a chill down my spine. Like,
Right.
the government is now telling me that I can't get together with 10 of my friends and have a barbecue. Like, that seems that doesn't something doesn't sit right. That doesn't sit right
Yep.
with me. So I hope that everyone realizes that these are just suggestions. You don't have to do these things. They are only suggestions for now.
Right.
For now, they're only suggestions. There may come a time when the military is rolling down Main Street and there's not much we can do about it. But for right now, they're only suggestions.
It is, and I hiked Monte Picchu a couple years back, and Monte Picchu, the whole Inca Trail, right? So there's different pieces that you can hike, but we ended up doing the whole hike all the way into Sungate, into Monte Picchu, which was always on my bucket list to do. And I was reading the other day that they're actually shutting down because there's so many people that congregate around that specific area, right?
Right.
Daily. And when you hike the Inca Trail, it used to be, it was kind of people could go whenever they wanted, and then it reverted to it's being over trafficked, right? So we have to limit, and it ended up being it's a limit of 500 people per day in the sections. And it's that was probably one of the cooler things that I've done, but it puts in perspective, even though like we live in these like little bubbles, right? And I think, one of the biggest telltale signs of like everybody lives in this bubble, and it kind of, we all stopped for a second, like when Kobe Bryant unfortunately passed, right? People are like, holy shit, somebody who is like untouchable can still have something happen to them, right? Like that, right? And then we go into today's age, right, where we're in this quarantine, like end of times. And now, like, you look at some of these, 7 wonders of the world, nobody's even able to go to those anymore, right? Like, this is just, to me, it's just crazy, like, to think about. And like our minds, even infinity is hard for us to think about, right? Afterlife is hard for us to think about, right? Because it's like our minds don't really grasp what that is. And so I think right now there's so much fear, there's so much like unknown. And when there's all of these changes, unknown and fear, it creates people, unfortunately, like I've seen videos of people like, running just to go get toilet paper right now, right? I mean, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy.
And that's one thing, like, obviously there are certain necessities that you have to have in the world to make the world turn. And I gotta tell you guys, toilet paper is not one of them. Like, you just can take a shower, and as long as there's running water, get rid of whatever you have there. Now, I would want to have toilet paper. I mean, I hope that Dominique bought some toilet paper, and we had some, and I was like, you're part of the problem. I was like, also, good job buying the toilet paper, because I don't want to run out. So, but no, I don't know anything. I didn't even go to college. You're ahead of me in that regard. So, I am just one man with opinions, having the A team join me to talk about different things. I had a real great time with our chat.
Yeah.
Did you come up with a title for the Tara Hamilton story?
As the World Turns.
As the World Turns. That's a soap opera. You know that, right?
It's a soap opera. This is what this
I
is.
know. Great. All right. And then, all right. I'm gonna sign off now. Signing off. End of episode. Ready? Check.